sitting down on a tailgate scene. Cold, warm, sweating, got the weekend clean. Click that stream on, yeah, the boys are in gear. Jackson on the mic, Lucas calling it clear. From Baton Rouge fire to the hedges in red. Chad blowing about what the coaches said. Settle on back, let the good times ride. Cause the South gets loud when the show goes live. Callers checking in from every county line. Hot takes flying like a deep ball dime. It's SEC Live, turn it up and let it roll. Lucas and Jackson got the heart and the soul. From Tuscaloosa Thunder to their Rocky Top.
Just me rocking solo right now. Jackson Johnson will be with us in just a little bit. But welcome to the final weekend of the college football regular season. We have a lot to discuss, and we got a lot to talk about. Strap in. It's rivalry week, so this should mean something. This should mean a lot to you. One of the most important weeks where 6 games in the SEC are going to have college football playoff implications. We'll get into all 6 of those games later on. Again, SOS, SOS, SOS. Massive, massive week that we have planned for the SEC. Absolute massive week. And let me just tell you, you need to be locked in. And I would like for you to be locked in because this is a very important weekend in SEC land. This is a very important weekend for the college football playoff. That's it, man. You know, there's you already know what happens. You already know what we got to do. But nonetheless, guys, we are live. This is South Carolina Live here, or not even South Carolina. I'm so used to saying that. This is SEC Live here at the Voice of College Football. I am your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Jackson Johnson will be with us in a little bit. Get out of a Lucas, what are you eating? This is Afton's grandfather. What the heck did that even mean? Cool. I honestly had no idea what that meant. No disrespect. I'm sorry. But let's get right into a week that is going to be full of, going to add some shock value. Let's just say that. The Lane Kiffin situation continues. And the radar has continued to go up around what he is doing and what the latest updates are. Well, Keywan Lacey came out and put out a statement. Well, not necessarily a statement, but he said something in a press conference. And he basically said that we're rallying behind our coach. That no matter what happens, we're playing for a national championship. I think that's the appropriate thing that should be talked about at this point in time. I completely agree. These negotiations are stupid. So you are, if you're Ole Miss, you're focused on one thing. That is competing for a national championship. And where he ends up going, what we see in the coming weeks is going to determine whether or not we have a Lane Kiffin Ole Miss head coach, or whether we have Lane Kiffin taking the job at LSU or taking the job at Florida. Whatever it is. What am I eating, Bubba? I was eating some popcorn. That's about it. How did you know I was eating something? But how likely is it that Lane Kiffin does leave? 70%. I think it's very possible that he does end up going. But another part of me says, let's say Ole Miss makes it to the semifinals at least. Does Kiffin stay for one more year and continue to build his legacy in Oxford? Because he has all the tools he needs to succeed as a head coach. He does. And when you have the investment of donors and fans alike that are wanting to invest in your program, and those that continue to support something that has been building for the last, I'd say, about 2 years, then you obviously have to stick around. I would. I think it's appropriate that you do. This is your backyard if you're Lane Kiffin. You're not going anywhere. There's no way. There's no way. Jeff Gullidge on X. Why is Drink getting so much talk about being a new head coach somewhere? He is 6-16 against ranked teams. He's too goofy to fit in a lot of places like LSU and Florida. Number one, he's consistent. That's my opinion. And look, this year was supposed to be a rebuild year for Missouri, which it still is. I did not have high expectations for Missouri going into this year. But some reason, Kirby Moore and Eli Drinkwitz, no matter what happens, manages to rebuild offenses. This was a broken offense not too long ago when he went into year 3 at Missouri. The offense pops off. They have a balanced attack. Rushing attack-wise, they've been incredible. When you talk about running backs like Ahmad Hardy that has come through. When you talk about guys that came through a couple years ago, like, what's his name? He's slipping through my brain. I'm going to hate myself because I know who this kid is. Cody Schrader. I'm such an idiot. Like what Cody Schrader did a couple years ago. And you're seeing the continued improvement that this roster has showcased. When you had a two-headed monster in Marcus Carroll and Nate Noel. Now, did they meet expectations of what they were supposed to be? It's hard when you bring in two backs that are very, very similar. But that's one thing. Did they meet expectations throughout last year on the run game? I mean, yes and no, but they both were able to be productive. And I think that what matters most when it comes to Missouri. So back to my thing about Missouri as a whole offensively, what Drink has been able to do, and this is just his track record, with a rushing offense and with guys that leave, this was a depleted offensive line. And at times they've looked good, especially in the run game. Pass pro, they've struggled. That's the one area I would be concerned about. But you can also effectively recruit and effectively hit the portal. That's the thing that I am high on when it comes to Drinkwitz. He also connects more with the South, not just as an SEC coach, but with his background being with a guy like Gus Malzahn, who was at Auburn and then at Arkansas State, been around some great offensive minds, Brian Harsin, etc. That's why I'm so high on a guy like Eli Drinkwitz. I think he will have success as a head coach anywhere. So that's my thoughts on that. But going back to the Lane Kiffin situation as well. This team is rallied behind him. Now, we'll get in to see if all the distractions that we saw during the week come back to bite a team at like Ole Miss. We'll see. I think that you should beat Mississippi State by 20. Defensively, they're a travesty. Coleman Hutzler is getting ready to have his walking papers. But, again, I don't know what is going on behind the scenes with administration or anything else regarding that. But that's my thoughts on the whole Lane Kiffin situation as we kind of open up the show. This is kind of like my opening monologue of the show. Every live show is brought to you by our good friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Going over to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app on your Apple or Android device and use my promo code VOCFBSEC. And when you play your first $5 lineup, you are going to get $50 instantly in free bets. That is code VOCFBSEC. And when you play your first $5 lineup, you are going to get $50 instantly in free bets. Must be 21 or older, not available in all states. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That is 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Let's continue on. Jeff Gullidge says, what is the vibes with in Mississippi State with their head coach? They behind him, hating, or still seeing how it plays out? I think you've seen drastic improvements from Mississippi State. I think offensively, it's a mess when it comes to the quarterback. I think you should be starting Kamario Taylor this weekend. Early on, I thought Blake Shapen had made strides to improve as a quarterback. But obviously, you've seen him struggle. The problem is that Levy is stubborn. Look, I like Blake Shapen a lot. But since the Texas game, he's been taking a lot of sacks. He's taken way too many hits. And to be quite frank with you, you need somebody that's more athletic, and you need somebody that can make a play. And a guy like Kamario Taylor is going to do that for you. That's what you need to have in your offense. You don't have much of a choice. Because right now you are not fundamentally sound as a team. That's the bottom line. But that's where you are right now. We'll get into predictions in a little bit. We'll get Jackson in here. We'll be right back. You're listening in Voice of College Football on SEC Live, the 15th edition. Got Rivalry Week. Nothing better, baby!
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Jackson.
Oh, man. Sorry I am late, ladies and gentlemen. We just got done wrapping up Crimson Tide Live with Kyle Loomis at E2C Network. Man, and we promise you are going to see him as a guest all right here on SEC at the Voice of College Football before this year ends.
Jackson, how are you, good sir? Good to see you.
Oh, I'm doing all right. Just keep myself busy, man.
There is nothing better than that. We're going to be busy this weekend. You know why, obviously.
Rivalry week.
There is nothing better than Rivalry Week, indeed, my good sir. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to Rivalry Week. I already opened up the show with discussing the Lane Kiffin situation. We all know how that might end. Do you think, Jackson, as we open it up, Ole Miss and Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl, do you think that Ole Miss is distracted because of the ongoing situations?
That's a very good question. I could see them getting very distracted because, they're thinking about, is our coach leaving us? Is he staying? I think Ole Miss just needs to stay in the moment, think about what they got to do against Mississippi State in the 2025 edition of the Egg Bowl and spoil bowl eligibility hopes for Mississippi State and make sure you play for a shot. Like, it's a small shot, but it's a shot to get in to the SEC title game for the first time in school history. You've come close, but no cigar once. That was in 2003, the dark ages of the internet. But you've got a shot. All you got to do is win and pull for Texas to upset A&M and pull for Auburn to upset Alabama. Do that, and you're good to go.
I don't trust Mississippi State's defense to save my life.
No.
This is Finley, by the way.
Hey, Finley, what's up, man?
So this is the teacup Yorkie that I am taking care of this week.
I like Finley. He's cool.
Hey there. Hey, Jackson.
Who's your team, Finley? You like Ole Miss or Mississippi State?
I'm not the represent this one. Oh, you're nasty. All right.
I don't think he likes those Bulldogs, but he's scared of them. I don't blame him. I'd be scared of them too. They'll chew me up.
My question for Mississippi State is, are you still sold with a guy like Blake Shapen that is starting? And Jackson, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not happy that Blake Shapen is going to go into this football game as the starter. I would not want him as a starter. I am calling on Kamario Taylor. If you see him start to struggle, I would be remiss if I didn't say that you needed to make a change at quarterback. Blake Shapen has been taking a lot of hits this year, man. He's been struggling in protection. He's taken 34 sacks this year. He had 7 against Texas. He had 11 the last 3 games. He's struggling to read the field. He's made some really, really poor decisions throwing the football. He's not the same quarterback that he was at the beginning of the year. His production has obviously dipped. I think if you're smart and if you're a realistic play caller, then you are calling on a guy like Kamario Taylor to lead this offense. That's just my opinion. Todd Gwynn says, hello, gentlemen, and a happy
Hey, Todd, what's up, man? Good to see you, good buddy. We're here. We are here. We are here. And we've got 150 people tuning in on, 148 on Eds. We appreciate you tuning in on SC at the Voice of College Football for SC Live 15 from yours truly, Jackson Johnson and Lucas Hill on SC at the Voice of College Football. Y'all want to come in on SC at the Voice of College Football? That's why you like, comment, subscribe, click on that notification bell so you never miss another video whatsoever for the magic that we are cooking here. All right there. And here we go. There it is. Man. Yeah. As for the 2025 edition of the Egg Bowl, we never would have thought Mississippi State was going to be fighting for a shot for bowl eligibility, but here we are. They did. They are. And as for Ole Miss, I feel like they're already in the playoffs, but if they win on Friday, they basically clinch a playoff berth either way. It's like they're in the playoffs. And they could have a home game.
Yeah, they'll be a top 5, or they'll be at least a top 6 team when it comes out on this next Sunday. But we'll see, man. Todd, what is your team? Because you say it's been a hard year. Well, who is your team? But in regards to this football game, Ole Miss is going to have to get off to a hot start. The last couple of Egg Bowls, it's been very sloppily played. And listen, you know about the Egg Bowl. You know how heated that it gets and how competitive that it has gotten. The last 3 meetings, or actually ever since the beginning of the decade, average margin of victory for each of these teams has been around a touchdown. You can't have games like this, especially when Ole Miss has looked dominant throughout the season. You can't have things like that. You can't have miscues on offense. You can't have these false starts. Something that we haven't seen Ole Miss struggle with, but you got to execute. You can't have missed assignments on defense because they're going to bust you in the mouth. Mississippi State is capable of that. They thrive on big plays. If you give this defense a little bit of an edge, and if you get shut down, if you have to punt the first 2 possessions, they're going to get lively in Davis Wade. Even though it's an 11 o'clock kickoff, they're going to get loud. You're going to hear the cowbells, and it's going to get ridiculous. So you better get off to a hot start offensively, because if you don't, that tells me all I need to know about what I'm going to expect the rest of that football game, because it's obvious they're going to be distracted from all the news that's been going on throughout the last week and a half.
Oh, agreed. And Trinidad Chambliss has just been magical for Ole Miss this season. And I know West Virginia is regretting not getting him this season. They're like, oh man, we're missing out. Oh well for them, and yay for the Ole Miss Rebels.
Didn't they offer him during the offseason?
No, I believe they were going to offer him, but then they passed on him.
Oh, stupid. I mean, the kid is a hell of a quarterback. I mean.
Oh, man. My guy, Mountaineer Paul, will tell you all about it, man.
I don't doubt it, man. But Trinidad Chambliss 2 weeks ago coming off of a the last 2 games that he's had, 87% completion percentage against the Citadel, 74% completion percentage against Florida. But in both of those games, he had negative 1 yards rushing against Citadel, which I'm not really concerned about it. But against Florida, got sacked 5 times. Ole Miss in pass protection has to be much better than that. They have got to be able to look out for the different stunts that Coleman Hutzler's going to bring. I expect them to play similar to how they played against Arizona State earlier in the season. They're going to play kind of a deep zone, but Coleman Hutzler's going to disguise all these different blitzes because I saw a safety coming in between the B gap. I'm going to see your interior, the defensive line, that's going to start to take over in this football game. They have to have that happen. Or if that doesn't happen, Ole Miss is going to run away with this football game. I think Ole Miss covers, though, and I think they pull off with a much-needed victory and secure their spot in the college football playoff. Any final thoughts before we move on, Jackson?
I believe the Ole Miss Rebels can get this one with a 35-17 victory over the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They want to make sure they get this one. And, all that stuff about Lane Kiffin this, Lane Kiffin that. No, it's not about Lane Kiffin. It's about the freaking Egg Bowl in the state of Mississippi. And not only making sure you get in the playoffs, but to spoil those bowl eligibility hopes of those Mississippi State Bulldogs.
I love it. Hey, look at
Oh,
you.
hotty toddy all
motivated.
over them.
I can tell you're getting hyped, bro. I love it.
I'm hyped by all the rivalries in the world of college football, man.
Clean old-fashioned hate.
Yes.
Georgia in
Yes.
Atlanta going to take on Georgia Tech.
Oh, man.
This is college football playoff elimination for – I wouldn't necessarily say this is almost D-Day for Georgia because I think they're still secured even if they have 2 losses. Georgia Tech, however, I think their run for a CFP is done, but they're going to have to win in Atlanta, and they need a lot of help in the SEC really in the ACC to get them back into CFP contention, to get the AQ to the college football playoff.
Oh,
Thoughts
great.
on this football game, Jackson?
Honestly, I'm glad that this game is going to be, on Black Friday again this year. I enjoy because I heard some people complain about last year and this year. No, don't complain about it. Be happy about it because you know what that means? It's got its own spotlight. The spotlight is on the clean old-fashioned hate rivalry. If you're putting it at noon on a Saturday on rivalry week, it's going to get overshadowed by Ohio State, Michigan. When you put this game on Black Friday, you got more people paying attention to it. And I'm glad of it, because you got the Bobby Dodds, the Wally Buttes of the world in this rivalry, right? You had Georgia Tech ending the losing streak to Georgia in OA in 2014. You had them doing that. You had magic all over the place. And the last time Georgia Tech won in Atlanta, now although this is in neutral site, still though, the last time Georgia Tech won against Georgia in Atlanta was in 1999, 6 months after the premiere of SpongeBob SquarePants on Nickelodeon. That's the funny thing, though. But the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, can they get it done? Can they possibly get it done against the Bulldogs? Absolutely. Can the Georgia Bulldogs make sure they get it done against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets? Absolutely. Now, I think Georgia Tech was thinking a little more about Georgia than they were about Pitt, to be honest. Because, you're not going to bring this is not 1976 Pitt. You're going to bring your A game against the Georgia Bulldogs. Everybody's going to bring their A game. And that's going to happen with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. I'm looking at this rushing offense. It's 17th in the nation. Points per game are 20th in the nation. Now, the defense, not good. It's not looking too good. But Georgia's doing all right. They're doing a little better, but that Mike Bobo offense is not going to get you a natty. I mean, but it'll get you some wins against Georgia Tech, but that's it. And they've not been doing so good at stopping the passing game, but Georgia Tech's been much worse at it, unfortunately.
Georgia's defense is going to take over this football game.
Yeah.
I know you were kind of a little bit iffy on Georgia's defense this year. Jackson, this is still a Kirby Smart defense.
Yeah.
Yes, they may have kind of regressed a little bit, and part of that might be because of the amount of NFL draft picks that they've lost over the last 2 years. This is still Georgia, and this is still one of the top teams in all of college football. Against the run, really against mobile quarterbacks, which they'll be going up against with Haynes King. Trinidad Chambliss was the best one that they've had. 9 carries for 42 yards and a pair of scores. You cannot allow them to get in the red zone because that is where Haynes King can be effective. You've got to be able to force 3 and outs, and you've got to be able to force them into 3rd and long situations. Make them throw the football down the field. Against guys like Jackson Arnold, where he goes for 55 yards, they've been fine. They've been better than what we thought it was going to be. But I also say this, and I also look at what Georgia Tech has done defensively. They have not been good. The last 3 games, they've gotten into dogfights. They had a really bad outing against NC State where you give up almost 600 yards of offense. In fact, let me do the total calculations real fast, Jackson, because I think Georgia Tech has given up just over 500 yards a game the last 3 games. You gave up 412 last week to Pitt, and against the run, it was horrible. 40 carries for $186 and 3 scores, and they got big plays. Against Boston College, $175. Against NC State, gave up 243 on the ground. I mean, when you are struggling in your rush defense, and by the way, did we forget that Georgia still has 3 really, really solid backs in their backfield? When we talk about guys like Nate Bell, Nate Frazier, think guys like that, both of which are Chauncey Bowens, guys that have continued to make differences on the ground. Are we forgetting about that? Bo Walker that started to pop off throughout the season, even though he's probably not going to see a whole lot of action. Don't even count out what this offense that Georgia can pull out. Georgia is a second half team. You got to play a full game against this team. But I just did the calculations, Jackson.
Ooh.
In the last 3 games between Boston College, North Carolina State, and Pitt, the Yellow Jackets have given up an average of 510 yards the last 3 games. And in games like this, where Georgia, do they have the flashiest offense? No. You're not going to see a lot of deep shots down the field. But Gunnar Stockton can make plays when it matters most. He can get on the edge, and he can set the tone offensively. What Georgia Tech is going to have to do is they got to stop this Georgia offense from getting on the field because they will wear you down and they will play the time of possession game. Georgia Tech wants to do that. Georgia Tech is bound to do that. They've done this year in and year out. They're going to continue to do it this year as long as Haynes King is their quarterback. And I expect Haynes King to get a majority of the carries. What Georgia's going to have to do is they're going to have to gang tackle on him.
They have to.
Because Haynes King, he don't stop after initial contact. This is a cat that probably should be better suited for the quarterback option game that the military schools run. That's the bottom line. And they run this offense like how Mike Bobo wants this offense wants to be run. Gunnar Stockton is a perfect system quarterback that can make plays on the run and can adjust on the fly, unlike guys like Carson Beck. They're efficient in this offense. Georgia Tech right now, they're a disaster defensively. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with Georgia unless you get another 7 or 8 overtimes. Give me Georgia to cover in this one. I think they shut down Georgia Tech's shot at potentially getting into the CFP. Not like they would anyway. Texas A&M.
Georgia will win this one 31-24 over Georgia Tech. Closer.
Wow. You're keeping it close. Look,
Brent Key's going to have his boys rolling.
I like Brent Key. That's a real coach right there. And I think he'll probably get himself a big boy, Big 10 or Big 12 or SEC job. But who knows, man? Haynes King better come ready to play. He's going to have to play like he did last year against them boys. Texas A&M going to DKR to play Texas.
I'm so happy that this game is back again. Like I know it's like the second straight year, but still though, it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna wake up. Oh my God, Texas A&M rivalry week, and it's all Black Friday again. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Last year's on Saturday. This year it's all Black Friday. Who knows? Maybe they'll have it on Thanksgiving Day next year. But at the same time, this is gonna be a fun matchup, because like win and you're in for the Texas A&M Aggies. And as for Texas, they win this one. They're not going to the playoffs, but they get to have a shot at not only spoiling A&M's chances and going to the SEC title for the first time since they joined the SEC in 2012, but also they'll be able to say, we beat all 3 of our rivals, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas A&M.
I think that Texas has something to say if they are able to win this football game. They may be a dark horse for the college football playoff because you'll have signature wins over a then top 10 Vandy and the current number 3 team of the nation.
Well, you need Vandy to win, no doubt about it. Like, you need Vanderbilt to win.
I would say that you need Vandy to lose, my opinion.
Because that's right. That's right. Because of the head-to-head win, and Vandy goes 10-2. Yeah.
Plus, Vandy has only 2 losses. If Tennessee's able to pull off the win at Rocky Top, which I expect they will, we'll get into that game in a little bit.
Ooh.
You've secured your place.
Yep.
And
they definitely need Oklahoma to win because, like, the more Oklahoma keeps winning, the more that really helps Texas.
So, yeah, I would agree too. I don't think it's going to happen. But Arch Manning coming off of an incredible game that he had last week against Arkansas, 389 and 4 scores to go along with another touchdown on the ground. 5 total touchdowns against Arkansas. Really, really solid game. However, my biggest concern right now, according to the playoff predictor, Texas currently has a 4% chance of getting in. Here's what they would need. If they beat Texas right now, they would now have an 8% chance to be a first round.
Oh yeah, Texas definitely needs that for sure.
They would have a total of a 9% chance to make the playoff. I believe that you have a very legit chance of making it. Here's what Texas would need. Because I think they're 15th or 16th right now?
17th in the nation.
I think they'll move up a little bit. I think they'll get to that 15 slot, potentially.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you need like Utah to lose on Black Friday against Kansas because that's before Texas plays Texas A&M.
Right.
You need Pitt to upset Miami. You need Notre Dame to get knocked out of the playoff race on ACC After Dark. And
But Notre Dame plays Syracuse, or they play Stanford on the road. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I called it AC After Dark.
It's a dirty world we live in where I gotta see Notre Dame's ass back in the playoff.
Man, what did Notre Dame do to you?
Notre Dame is stupid overrated, okay? Let's just get real.
Oh, man.
They are. Give me their signature win this year, Jackson. Go ahead.
I mean, USC, but that's it. And Pitt. But that's about it. I mean, it could be the last time we see Notre Dame, USC, and South Bend.
You beat a Pitt team that'll get freaking dog walked in the first round if they even make it. They may even get dog walked by Virginia in the ACC title if they even make it that far.
Oh man, that's gonna be funny right there. But in all seriousness, Texas will definitely need Central Florida to upset BYU. Yeah, and like you said, they need Tennessee to beat Vandy. Oh Lord!
It will likely be Virginia and probably either Miami or SMU that'll get in. But I'll tell you what, it could benefit Miami more if they end up winning and if SMU ends up winning this weekend as well, because SMU is going to have the one loss, Virginia is going to have the one loss, but Miami will still be, I think should be a top 12 team when it's all said and done. That could benefit them a lot. And they still have 2 signature wins over Notre Dame, and I guess we could still count South Florida as a decent win. I guess. I don't really know.
Man, South Florida is going to have to make sure. Oh, well, no. They're gonna need Navy to lose. They're going to need Tulane to lose. And they're going to need North Texas to lose this week.
It's going to be between North Texas and Tulane when it's all said and done. Navy doesn't have a signature win other than the South Florida win. They got blown out by Notre Dame. They got blown out by North Texas. North Texas has the advantage going into this one. I think they easily knock out Casey Keeler, even though I will say I like Casey Keeler. They've been one game away from making a bowl game. They blew it against Army. They got blown out against East Carolina, and they're going to get blown out at home against North Texas. But regardless of that.
Oh, man. Marcel Reed at Texas A&M, dude has been a baller all season. And Casey Concepcion has been a baller as well.
Don't forget about Mario Craver. I know he's been
Mario time.
I know he's been dealing with injuries, but Mario Craver is still one of the best number 2 options that Texas A&M has. And if we're being honest, if Craver wasn't with A&M, he'd be the number 1 receiver on any roster in college football. So that's something that you have to take into consideration. And a guy that's been on the rise, Ashton Bethel Roman. Ashton Bethel Roman had a very good game against South Carolina. And I said this during the offseason. I said that Ashton Bethel Roman would be a guy that you needed to look out for in the preseason that would do some pretty good things in the regular season. It was only going to be a matter of time, and he popped off against South Carolina, and he's been doing it since then. I expect him to be an X factor in this football game. Marcel Reed's legs are going to have to be the difference in this football game. You're going to have to be able to run against a ferocious back 7 that Texas has. Now, you have to play a complete game too. You got to put pressure on Arch Manning. Arch Manning has been throwing dot after dot the last couple of weeks. I thought he's looked really, really solid throughout, especially last week against Arkansas. And I know Arkansas's defense is absolute horse crap, but it's still another SEC school that he's doing that against. I thought he had a hell of a response coming off of that Georgia loss. The question is, how does he do against an A&M defense that has been somewhat inconsistent throughout the majority of the season? Remember, wasn't that long ago that you gave up 42 against Arkansas. You let Notre Dame hang around for a little bit. You let UTSA and Utah State run wild in the run game. You were close with Auburn. You were close for about 3/4 with Mississippi State. And you had a halftime. You were down at half against LSU. The turning points in this football game are going to be insane. A turnover is going to be a big difference in this football game. I expect A&M to take advantage of that. I think they're going to find ways to put pressure on Arch Manning. I think Marcel Reed, I said he was having a Heisman moment 2 weeks ago against South Carolina. I was right, and I'm right again. I think he solidifies his invitation to New York City this weekend, having a big game against a very good Texas defense. Give me Texas A&M to win this one on the road. Massive win for A&M. First signature win of the season for them. I know that we can say the Notre Dame win was pretty good, but I think this really puts the icing on the cake.
I've got the Longhorns pulling off the upset in a 28-24 fashion at home. They spoil A&M's chances of going to the SEC title game. Arch Manning gets it rolling for the Longhorns, and it's going to be a wild ride in Austin, Texas on ABC Friday night.
Kentucky going to Louisville. Miller Moss is questionable for this football game, Jackson. And I like Kentucky, man. I really do. But they got absolutely clobbered because they gave up the big play last week against Vandy. But this ain't Vandy. I said Kentucky was going to have a key win, whether it be this week against or last week against Vanderbilt, depending on what Vandy's defense brought out. They were improved. I'll give them that. But how does Cutter Boley respond? I thought Cutter Boley had his moments last week, but he turned the football over a lot. You can't have that against a Louisville offense that can strike. But we'll see what the
I think that Cal game has just deflated Louisville. Like the loss to Cal and then just coming up short against Clemson on that Friday night. It has deflated their momentum against, especially against SMU last Saturday. I mean, that team is basically just depressed. I mean, Eeyore is happier than the Louisville Cardinals, and he has a nail on his butt. I mean, he's happier than that Louisville bunch. And the Kentucky Wildcats, man, like, I feel like we're seeing Stoops, like, he's obviously returning for 2026, regardless of the results of this game, because, I mean, it's too late to really back down now, especially with signing day coming up next week. So I don't see Stoops getting fired or leaving or anything. I mean, that whole statement that he's saying he's staying in Kentucky, he's a Kentuckian for life. I mean, and after all those rumors about, okay, he's trying to leave, honestly, I feel like Kentucky's going to be motivated to get this one. They're going to be a little more motivated than that Louisville bunch. I mean, nobody's going to be motivated after losing to Cal. I mean, that Cal team is just depressing.
This has been kind of the highlight of the last few years of the Jeff Brom era at Louisville. They start off hot, and then they collapse and melt at the end. They've done it before. They did it last year when you proceed to lose 3 of the next 4 and blow leads against Notre Dame and Miami and SMU. And you lose games that you really shouldn't lose, like Stanford last year. The same thing with this year. You were in the conversation of, hey, man, they could be the ACC representative in the college football playoff. You lose to Cal in OT. You blow an opportunity against Clemson, and then you get your ass beat against SMU. How motivated is Louisville? I don't know. I think defensively they've collapsed. I don't think they have an answer. And I think that my words come true. I had Kentucky going 2-10 at the beginning of the season.
Wow.
Mark Stoops wins Coach of the Year with a victory this weekend against Louisville. Give me the Bluegrass State, the Wildcats, getting the upset in the Governor's Cup and taking back the rivalry that they rightfully have earned. Let me tell you, the last couple of weeks in Lexington, on the road, Kentucky has won the last 5 matchups. So Louisville has not won at home against Kentucky since 2014. 16, 18, 21, because there was no 2020 and 2023.
Man, 2014, that was the first year where Louisville, Kentucky was on rivalry week. And I'm glad that they've been doing that since, because it was like it was the right move. And the fact is, with this game, I'm looking at a Kentucky 28-17 victory over Louisville. I think they're going to be like, you know what? Louisville's been punished enough. Little bit, and we'll just be on our way. Now on to bowl eligibility in Lexington.
Kentucky stamps their ticket to the Music City Bowl. Give me Kentucky to cover in the victory. I really like Cutter Bowley. He's going to have the game of his life.
You're going to see a lot of the 6 and 7 meme from South Park when it gets to bowl season. 6 and 7.
I can't believe we did this tonight, bro. You got me doing this. This is your fault, Jackson.
Clemson, South Carolina.
The battle for the state championship in the Palmetto State. Jackson, give me your thoughts on this one.
Oh man. It's a shame for them that they're not on ABC, but at the same time, both of these teams have disappointed everybody. And I saw somebody say this, I forgot his name, but he said that you shouldn't be looking at this game as, oh, well, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter because we had a rough season. No, this still matters, because when you win this game, you're the state champ for the year. You get to brag about it for the next 364 days. You get to brag about it. And South Carolina, they've had a terrible season this year after getting really hyped up. You gave the warning on South Carolina to voice college football, Lucas, and Jeffrey Only Talk Sports has given the warning about it as well on his channel, Only Talk Sports. Both of you guys have been sounding the alarm on the South Carolina Gamecocks going, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's think about this for a minute. I know that y'all think that South Carolina's top 12 team, or they're going to be looking good in the regular season, but let's pump the brakes on this a bit, because South Carolina, when they're hyped up, they don't do well. But when they're not expected to do well, they thrive when they're not expected to do well. That's something we've seen a lot this year from the South Carolina Gamecocks. And the Clemson Tigers, under Dabo Swinney from 2021 to now, I've been saying this for a few weeks. It feels like Bobby Bowden, Florida State, from 2001 to 2009. It feels very eerily similar. I mean, Clemson losing the Duke football 2 straight times in college football, not in college basketball, but in college football. And the years where they win the ACC, it's not really impressive. It was the same thing with Florida State in 2002, 2005, when they won the AC. Not all that impressive. That's what we're seeing from Clemson. They're just getting through a cruddy year. They're disappointing everyone. This is not the old days of the Dabo Swinney era, but You can end a terrible season with a bang with a victory against South Carolina. And the South Carolina Gamecocks, they can end their terrible season of 2025 with a bang against the Clemson Tigers. Will we be seeing Lenora Sellers bring out a top-notch A game on Saturday? He's definitely a key to victory for the Gamecocks against Clemson.
Jackson, last week was the first time that South Carolina went over 400 yards this year. And I'll tell you what, it was a game that was very much needed if you're South Carolina. I know it's Coastal Carolina, and I know it's a bad team. Lenore's had his best game of the year. Goes for over 350 yards of total offense and 4 scores. They pop off for almost 600 yards of offense, 579 to 220. They put up 51. And that's a game that you needed. That's a game that you were desperately looking for. So, Clemson, or I should say Clem sucks, since I cover South Carolina for one more week. Clem sucks is obviously has a quarterback issue.
I got one.
You have absolutely no answer when it comes to what Cade Klubnik has done this year. He struggled with injury. That's the obvious part. He's taken a step back. Again, everybody knows it. This ain't the same quarterback that threw for 36 touchdowns and just 6 interceptions. He's taking sacks. He's forcing a lot of things into traffic. He's not comfortable in the pocket. And he just does not look like the guy that everybody thought he was going to be in the preseason. His passing percentage, not even his passing percentage, but against teams that many people were going to be utilized for. Jackson, thank you so much for the $2 donation to say Clem shit.
Because that's what they are. You lose the game, that's what I'm going to call you.
I just didn't want to cuss, to be honest with you. But
that's what super chats are for.
You funny. Cade Klubnik has the bottom line is this. Cade Klubnik isn't the same quarterback that he was expected to be. And he has not played a pass rush like this since the LSU football game. And that's at the beginning of the season. So when you pair him alongside guys like Brian Thomas and what Dylan Stewart has been able to do this season, there's a lot that I am very impressed with and what I'm looking forward to see from this South Carolina pass rush. Putting pressure on Clemson and what they've done all year. Defensively, it's been a joke. Clemson, defensively, is not the same team that people thought that they were going to be. And it makes people wonder, what the hell happened with this hyped up Tom Allen offense that people were talking about? Part of it has been because you have been unable to shut down a passing game to save your life. When you have guys like Darian Mensah going for 361, Kevin Jennings popping off, you have big plays that you give up defensively. When you can't shut down a mobile quarterback like what Haynes King was. When you can't force turnovers when it matters most. That's when you get burnt. They've given up a lot of big plays. And I think a lot of people have noticed that this year. I think it's very obvious that this is not the same Clemson team that people were expecting to see in the preseason. That being said, knowing that it's in Willie B, knowing that the Gamecocks come in with the hot hand, I expect for Lenora Sellers and company to finally get this offense going. And let me just tell you, To all my South Carolina fans in the freaking chat, if I hear someone else say that Mike Furry needs to be elevated to offensive coordinator, you are delusional and you are an idiot. We cannot have this. Guess what happened? You're going to get delusional and you are going to be complaining when the season starts again and when Beamer's fired and when he's gone, and you're going to get mad because, oh, he's not performing up to expectations. Well, guess whose fault that is? That's your own fault because you are so delusional and you are so stupid that you think on emotion and you think on what you've done in the rest of the season instead of what you've done for a whole season. Go spend some money out in the freaking offseason and go get a damn offensive coordinator. I'm done, Jackson. You can continue.
That's all right. I'm just laughing and having a good time.
I gotta go pee real fast. I'll be right back.
All righty. You know, like for me to pick a winner in this one, honestly, it looks like a toss-up because I don't know what version of South Carolina we're going to get on Saturday. And I don't know what version of Clemson we're going to get on Saturday. Both these teams have just disappointed throughout the season. And you're just looking at these offense, the numbers on offense. Oh, my God. They are terrible on South Carolina. I mean, the offensive numbers are better for Clemson, but good Lord, that's not anything to brag about. But the defense, disaster for Clemson. And it's just not good, folks. It's not looking good for either one of these teams. Just looking at like Cade Klubnik, he was going to be that guy that's going to elevate Clemson to awesomeness.
Cade Klubnik's confidence is at an all-time low, and it's all Dabo's fault because he doesn't surround him with the proper pieces for Clemson to be successful.
Agreed. Oh, man. And Faison for South Carolina, I'm hoping he can get a good run game for the Gamecocks. If he can do that, they can be good to go on Saturday in this terrible season with a bang. And just hoping that we see Harbor just like get ready to catch some passes from Sellers. Maybe Sellers can do some running. Hopefully he does. But this is one of those games that you have to flip a coin on. It just is. Like last year, it was exciting. When you saw, like, was South Carolina going to get in the playoffs? Were they going to be playing spoiler for Clemson's hopes? Well, at-large hopes, anyway. That was going to be the question for Clemson, South Carolina.
What's going to be the question?
Huh?
What's going to be the question?
Well, last year, the question was, like, the winner would have who would be getting in with a better shot at playoffs as an at-large.
Oh, hey, Matthew.
What's up, Matthew? Check him out. Check out the magic that he creates on Texas at the Voice College Football with Gerald Goodridge, Metro Sports, Y2, and Brandian Ross. They all create some Texas magic on Texas at the Voice College Football.
I think Texas jumps Vandy and Utah, regardless of if God dog it, I can't read text. If Texas beats, that's a freaking word. That's a sentence, Matt. I get what you're saying. I think Texas can get in if Miami, Michigan, and OU or Bama loses. Well, Oklahoma should kick the teeth out of LSU because their offense is horrible. Bama should kick the teeth out of Auburn because their back seven sucks. So that's just me. I'm not really sure, but again, anything is possible. Anything can happen.
I think, and I'm kind of just flipping a coin on this one. I think I'm just going to shoot for the Gamecocks to win a tight one
I do too. I
in
think
a
South Carolina.
21-20 fashion.
Yeah, I think South Carolina finds a way. They win the state championship and pretty much own the state of South Carolina. They beat South Carolina State. They beat Coastal Carolina. They'll beat Clemson. Am I missing anyone else? No, I'm not. Yes.
Well, they beat Virginia Tech, and
They're not in the state of South Carolina.
Nope. That's the only non-South Carolina team they've beaten this year.
Kentucky, too.
Yep. Man, I forgot about them beating Kentucky for a moment.
I remember Dylan Stewart kicking the crap out of Cutter Boley in his first start. Oklahoma and LSU. Speaking of kicking the teeth out of a team, can Oklahoma finally get their offense together against one of the better back sevens in college football?
Oh, Isaiah Satanga has definitely got to watch for. Like, he was he was basically the turning point in their victory over Missouri with that 87-yard touchdown in the second quarter. Can he be that turning point against the LSU Tigers? I think he can be, and I think he will be. I can't wait to see what they'll bring in. And that defense is going to stifle all kinds of offenses. I mean, we saw what they did to the Alabama offense. We saw what they've been doing to everybody. I mean, and the red zone numbers for offense. I mean, I know the offense isn't all that for Oklahoma, but when they're in the red zone, they get it done. They take care of business.
LSU's performance last week against Western Kentucky does not give me any hope at all about a potential upset. Plus, it's on the road in Gaylord Memorial.
Horse dung for LSU.
And look, Oklahoma can put together sustainable drives. They thrive on the big play. They know how to attack the middle of the field, and they know how to get their quick game involved, and they know how to get their athletes out in space. I think you're going to see that throughout tonight, and I think that game. And it's going to be a rough one, man. LSU's offense is horrible. There is no way in hell that I see them moving on the number one defense in the SEC. I think their front seven is going to have a ball game. R. Mason Thomas continuing to put on a clinic and showcase why he is a first-round talent. Why is he's a top 50 talent at the most or at the least. And look, they've done this all year. This is what Oklahoma loves to do. The only way I see LSU being able to pull off an upset is if you force turnovers, which John Mateer has been prone to. Looked great in the first couple of games of the season. Since then, not as good. It's obviously still not as healthy as you would like for him to be. That's the truth. But you are accepting these 150, 138, 173 passing games as long as he's putting together sustainable drives. Last week, sloppy game. You got to be able to force the issue. I think LSU is going to have somewhat of their way in the first half. I think they're going to find ways to confuse different looks that John Mateer gives. And I like the chess match in this one between Blake Baker and Ben Arbuckle, two great minds in their respective positions. So anything is possible in this football game, and I think that LSU's defense is going to keep it close to start it off. But Oklahoma can at least sustain a drive. LSU can't. Give me Oklahoma in this one. But I think LSU finds a way to cover.
I don't think they will. I think Oklahoma is going to win this one 28-10 over LSU. Because the only time LSU scored more than 28 points was once this season. All 11 games besides Southeastern Louisiana. Sorry about that, Southeastern Louisiana. They've only had 25 or less points, win or lose. That's a terrible look for the LSU Tigers this season. And after week one, they were the team that was supposed to win it all because they beat Clemson in week one on Saturday night. but nothing. They couldn't do anything. I mean, this LSU Tigers team is terrible. They're going to get blistered. Like Oklahoma is going to get out the belt and give them a spanking. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be like blistering their butt at the grocery store because they were caught throwing a fit over not getting their Fruit Loops cereal. That's what's going to happen.
I don't know, man. I just see this being a very sluggish type of game, and I think that this is going to go about as well as everybody thinks. It's going to be very, very slow. We'll see, man.
Why that game's not even on ABC beyond me. I mean, I get that it's Oklahoma's playoff hopes, but at least put it on ESPN. I mean, I know Tennessee Vandy's on ESPN, but I feel like they should kind of trade spots a little bit. If you really want to make LSU Oklahoma exciting, put it on Disney Channel where Phineas and Ferb call the game.
Vanderbilt going to Rocky Top. Massive one for college football playoff implications.
Yes.
The Diego Pavia Heisman train has been rolling in November, and it continues to roll. Does it roll into Rocky Top and secure a win that could put them in the college football playoff?
That's a good question. Because even though Tennessee is not likely to go to the playoffs, win or lose, they're not going to, but they can really set up some momentum for the 2026 season with a top-notch victory over the Commodores and a victory in their bowl game to get that 10-win season for 2025. Now, Bishop, he's going to be a massive key to victory for the Volunteers, and so is Star Thomas. Those two guys, you get them rocking and rolling, they will be good to go. You get those guys ready, they'll be set. Get Brazil going, you'll be set. You'll be set on offense. Now, can the defense put a ton of pressure on Diego Pavia? Don't know, because trying to stop the passing game has just been atrocious this season for the Vols. They can stop the run game a little more than they can stop the passing game. But neither can Vandy. They can't really stop the passing game from Joey Aguilar. I don't think they can. I feel like this game, honestly, will be a high-scoring game from Aguilar and Pavia. It's going to be a shootout of the ages. That's what I feel like it's going to be.
I have never been one to be high on a team like Tennessee in recent weeks.
Right.
And look, because of history of what happened last week, I don't think I put Tennessee as a victor in this one, but I did say that Florida would be competitive. I was wrong in this one. It's in Rocky Top. And the Pavia hype train is going to be very, very real. I am excited for that one. I like Diego Pavia. And I said that this would be a shootout offensively. I'm ecstatic for a game like that. It should make you ecstatic. God, dog. English is hard, Jackson. I've had a long week. But Joey Aguilar and this Tennessee offense has been rolling. So is Vandy's. This game could get ugly very quickly offensively for both teams.
No doubt.
Vanderbilt the last 2 weeks has been incredible offensively. And look, this is a Vandy offense that I thought would be more of a system type of football team that we've been used to seeing over the last several weeks of the year. That has changed the last 1, 2, 3 weeks of the season. And you're seeing numbers that we haven't seen that Vanderbilt has put up in quite some time. This is an offense that put up 604 last week, where Diego Pavia pops off for 484 and 6 total touchdowns, has 500 yards of total offense, where you see different guys get the football and they thrive on the big play. I know I've been a broken record of saying that, but that's been the majority of the SEC this week. Trey Richardson is going to play a big role. Don't forget about Junior Sherrill, who's been the number one target this year. Eli Stowers had only 6 receptions for 36. But guess what? I think he has an opportunity to have a big game against this Tim Banks defense that at times has struggled. Now, you played a really bad Florida team that had a lot of missing starters. I still think he planned out very well in the first half. 31-0 quick start. Tennessee's going to have to get off to that against Vandy. You can't go blow for blow with them because I think Tennessee has the upper hand, but you got to put this game to bed very early if you want to have a chance at securing a very massive win if you are Tennessee. That's just my opinion. But the Pavia hype train is real. You're going to see close to 1,000 yards between the two teams. And don't be surprised either if we end up seeing some Heisman talk get real and maybe get an invitation after this football game. We'll see what happens with guys like Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Love. All the hype has been around them. Pavia just barely outside the top 5. Can he do enough to get himself to New York? But in this football game, give me. Hey, Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Oh, Rocky Top.
Oh, no.
Tennessee. Give me the balls to cover. Give me the balls to get a massive win. Josh Heupel. Back-to-back big victories for him. Another 10-win season for the Vols is coming. Vandy, hell of a season. You out of the playoff, baby.
Not so fast, my friend. I am going to go with the Vanderbilt Commodores in a 38-35 victory in Knoxville, Tennessee on ESPN. Vandy is going to get that 10-2 season, and they're going to be stomping on the grave of the Vols with a game-winning field goal.
Missouri going to Fayetteville. Big one for them.
Yeah.
Look, this is a very.
This is the last time we're seeing it on an annual basis for at least a few years, but we won't see it on rivalry week next year because we're likely going to see LSU, Arkansas, and Missouri, Oklahoma on rivalry week.
Taylon Green and his legacy as a quarterback at Arkansas is complicated. On one hand, you have great performances that he's had where he looks like the best quarterback in the SEC. And a guy that is very talented, prototypical NFL quarterback that you would like to have. But you've also seen the bad. Turnover prone, not reading the right reads, looks confused on the field. This has been his legacy throughout his career. Does that continue this weekend?
Good question. Do I feel like Arkansas will be trying to have a lead or make it look like they're going to win again and then blow it? Yes, definitely, absolutely. That's what's going to happen for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Ahmad Hardy is going to make life terrible for the Arkansas defense. I would not want to go up against Hardy because he'll chew up like a chicken nugget.
You know, I have, how do I say this? Arkansas's defense has been a complete and total disaster. Now, the interim DC, there's been reports that he got physical with a player that led to him drawing blood.
Oh, yeah, where it was investigated that, it was all a joke. It was all a joke. That doesn't sound like a good joke to me.
You need it because your defense sucks. Your defense is so soft, it's ridiculous.
Man, it's like there is no Frank Broyles energy on that team. That's for sure.
You know, I expect Bobby to get elevated as the head coach. I think you've been close in every game that you've played this year. I think offensively, you have chances to stay in this football game. But if you continue to shoot yourself in the foot like you've done majority of the year, you're going to give up points. You were down by 1 against Texas with halfway to go in the first half, and you force the 3 and out. You know what you do on the next possession? You throw a pick, and Texas takes it down the field. They score, and they rattle off 28 or not 28, but 31 unanswered. And that's basically the story of Arkansas all season long. You give up one big play, and it turns into a disaster for them. It turns into an absolute chaos scene for the Razorbacks.
Right.
We'll see what Bo Prabula is like in his second start back from injury. In my opinion, you shouldn't be starting him. Matt Zoller should be getting some touches under center, but I'm not in that coaching room. Do I think Bo Prabula did bad? No, but I thought he made some really bad mistakes against a good defense, against a really good defense. So let's see how he does this week. I think he does have another rebound game. I think they take advantage of Arkansas, and I think they put them up in a high-scoring game. I get Missouri to cover, though.
Oh, yeah. Missouri is going to win this one in a 45-24 fashion.
No telling, man. Florida State going to Florida.
That's a toss-up right there. Like, good grief. Both these teams are just terrible, horrible, no good, very bad, outrageously bad. I mean, the Gators, they're just like, can we just end this terrible season already? And Florida State, they let that Bama game go to their heads. And I don't know if you saw last Friday's game against North Carolina State.
I did.
You saw where they gave it away. Like, not once, but twice. Like, special teams. Oh, man. I was so frustrated.
So this is going to be a very low-scoring game. I think both defenses are going to find ways to shut down their offense because both offenses suck. Tommy Castellanos, after all the hype that we had in the first 3 weeks of the season, has been very bad. Now, part of that has been because you're around a bunch of anemic weapons on the outside. You had 4 turnovers. You have 2 really bad punt returns. By the way, good night to you, Todd.
Night, Todd. Sleep well, stay safe, stay warm. It's cold out.
You got absolutely manhandled. And going up against a Florida State or Florida pass rush that had its moments last week against Tennessee, even though they got manhandled, whose team is going to strike for first and force them to quit in the first half? I will say, give me Florida in this one, man. I think this is an anemic game. DJ Lagway has a nice little send-off before he gets a new head coach in the final game with an interim head coach at the helm. Mike Norvell, you got to get the boot, dude. You're done after this year. I don't know why you're getting the chance to stay for 26, but it's a horrible decision by Florida State administration, and it's a disgrace for a program that thrives itself on winning. Mike Norvell had 2 very good seasons where you hit hard in the portal when you hit on a guy like Jordan Travis and guys like that. And after that, it's been a complete disaster. Keon Coleman was the name I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, I mean, like, this game is basically a toss-up at this point, and they're not keeping Florida State's not keeping Norvell because, oh, he's their BFF that they're going to take selfies with. They may be taking selfies and smiling on, like, Instagram pics. But off air, they're like, let's just hope this guy can make a terrific season for 2026. And they really don't want to get in this fight over who's going to get Lane Kiffin, because you're not going to win that battle, especially when you're going up against Florida and LSU in the coaching carousel. They're waiting for better candidates after the 2026 season, when they're going to be probably battling with a few other people in the carousel. So that's what's going to be happening. But as for this game, this is going to be very low scoring. I think it's going to be a 17-14 victory for Florida State. I do not like what either one of these teams have brought throughout the 2025 season. They're terrible.
Last game of rivalry week, Jackson. This is your ball game.
Oh,
Alabama and Auburn, the Iron Bowl, ain't nothing better than it. Look, Deuce Knight, don't count him out.
Oh, he's not going to be. Oh, he won't be starting for Auburn in this one.
Why?
They're having Ashton Daniels start.
Why in God's earthly name is Ashton Daniels starting? Why? It's a stupid decision. It's a really dumb decision. Did I think he had a bad game against Vandy? No, I thought he did really well against Vandy. But listen, who is going to give you the better chance to win? Whether it be Ashton Daniels or whether it be Deuce Knight, I would put both of them in. Let's say Ashton Daniels does struggle. What if he has a rough start? Well, why not put in a guy like Deuce Knight? I would definitely, because DJ Durkin mentioned about how they could potentially use a guy like Deuce in the football game in packages. I would definitely like to see that. Use him kind of like what Levy's doing with Kamario Taylor.
Agreed.
But let you have the floor, Jackson. This is your football game. The mic is yours.
Oh, here we go. So the Alabama Crimson Tide needs to make sure they've got their running game set. I mean, it's not been good enough, but if they can have a good enough job on it with Jam Miller and Ackland Deer and Daniel Hill and all those guys, they can be set up for a good victory. Now, Ty Simpson had a rough game last week, but he's got to make sure he's ready to rock and roll, especially when throwing to Bernard Williams, Horton, Lonnie Brooks. Get those guys ready. And we're waiting to see whether Josh Cuevas is going to be playing in the Iron Bowl this upcoming Saturday. Will he be playing? That's going to be a question for the Crimson Tide. If he is, he's going to be an amazing X factor for the Crimson Tide. Offensive line has to make sure they're protecting their QB, making sure they're protecting their guys. They'll be good to go. Then we got the defense. It's going to be ready to rock and roll. You put a ton of pressure on Auburn, you'll be good to go. That'll be a key to victory for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Auburn has to make sure they have to put a ton of pressure on Simpson. They do that, they'll be good to go. Alabama needs to keep an eye on Cam Coleman. They got to make sure they're keeping an eye on him. Make sure they just double team on him. Do that, you'll definitely be good to go.
Here is what I'm concerned about, Jackson, is how is a guy like Cam Coleman, when he's left on an island, what does Kane Womack and company do? Well, number one, I don't think you are going to leave him on an island because I'll be honest with you, you don't have the talent in the secondary to put him on an island with those two array of receivers. Not just him, but with Eric Singleton too. I think if you're Alabama, you're playing two safeties deep, and you're not letting anything get past you, because that's what hurt Vandy 2 weeks ago when they played Auburn. They gave up the deep ball, and it allowed for Auburn to create big plays that got them to stay in the football game. That's what I want Alabama to avoid this weekend. But again, I say the same thing about Auburn secondary that has had their struggles this year. With a system that Ryan Grubb has in place, Ty Simpson has the athletes to make big plays. I think they take advantage of that. I think it's an easy victory for Bama. I don't think it's a tune-up game. I think it'll be competitive, but I do think Bama, as it usually is, takes care of business like they have been since week 2 of the season, and they continue their dominance going into Atlanta for not just the first SEC title under Kalen DeBoer, but a chance to win their first SEC title in 2 years and to continue the tradition and get the monkey off of Kalen DeBoer's back that, oh, he can't win in Bama because he's not Nick Saban. That's BS. That ends this weekend.
Right.
Go get the win. Bama takes care of business. I see them covering this football game.
Alabama will win this one 24-17 at Auburn. And it would be the first time since we started playing the Iron Bowl at Jordan-Hare in Tuscaloosa that Alabama wins 3 straight at Jordan-Hare.
Heck of a next couple of weeks that we got in store. Obviously, with this one, final week of the college football season. Jackson, before we get up out of here, man, I want to show you my power rankings for week 14 of this year, and I want to get your thoughts on what I put, and I also kind of want to get into a little bit of some some transfer portal action this week. So I just put this out, and this is these are my new power rankings. I know that the Voice of College Football posts theirs. I made some changes to mine. As soon as I sent mine in, I was like, oh, shoot, I made some mistakes. But here is my week 14 power rankings for this week. I have Florida, obviously, at the bottom at 16, Arkansas at 15, South Carolina at 14, Mississippi State at 13, Auburn at 12, LSU at 11. I got Kentucky cracking the top 10, Missouri at 9, Tennessee at 8, Vandy at 7, Oklahoma at 6, Texas at 5, Ole Miss at 4, Texas A&M at 3, Georgia at 2, and Bama at 1.
Ooh, I love it.
Any thoughts?
I like it. I see why you got LSU down at 11. It's because of the way they've played all season. But Auburn, Mississippi State, I could see where they would be better than LSU at any point, but Auburn would somehow blow it like they did against Kentucky, which it was like they get all the opportunities handed to them, and then they'll just lose a tight one to LSU. Mississippi State, I feel like would do better than Auburn, honestly, if they played one another this season. But then again, Mississippi State would be blowing it.
Ain't no telling, man. I mean, this has been Mississippi State's story all year, too. They cannot continue. They cannot finish games when it matters most, and I think that's what's going to hurt them and walk Coleman Hutzler out the door. It's been that, man, and that's what's going to hurt them this Saturday. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for us on another great week of SEC recap action, a couple of previews that we gave to you. Thank you once again. Our guy Jackson Johnson always joining us. We appreciate you, my good sir. Follow him on X at JacksonVOCFB. Follow me on X at LucasHillSEC. Jackson, what we got going on this week, my friend?
Oh, man, I'll be rocking and rolling. Tomorrow night, I'll be getting ready for Primetime Live on Alabama with the Voice College Football, 6 p.m. Central with Travion Ware. But I'll be filming an Iron Bowl preview with Taylor Jones of Auburn Wire right here on SEC at the Voice College Football. And we'll be having Andrew Miller join me. I think I'm gonna have Leanne Herring join me. Not sure, but we're cranking out some final previews here and there on SC at the Voice of College Football. And I'll be joined by Steve Hellwagon of Buttnuts 247 for episode 90 of the Jacksonian, as we'll be going over our take on the 2025 edition of The Game. For more updates, what I've got going on Jacksonian, Alabama at the Voice of College Football, SEC at the Voice of College Football, once, twice a week call-ins on the Feinbaum Show, and a few times a week on Lockdown West Virginia for Jackson's World College Football. Check me out on Jackson CFP on /Twitter and on Instagram threads, Jackson Jones 543908.
A lot of stuff that we got going on this week. We'll have SEC previews of each of our games that we covered here tonight. We'll get those uploaded over the course of the week. So really excited to get into all of that. Guys, once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hopping on in. Great show tonight. Y'all have a great and happy Thanksgiving. Make sure that be thankful for all your loved ones and thankful for all your friends. Thank you guys so much for hopping on in. Y'all have a great rest of the week, and we will see you all on Wednesday. Josh Mahler, Tucker Harlan, and Andrew Miller bringing you another great edition of SEC Live. They got their stuff going on. We'll see you guys this Saturday for all of our instant reactions, and we'll see you next Sunday for our final whistle. Y'all have a great rest of the week. We'll see you.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.